Oh, I'm small. Oh no. Let me get a little bigger. There we go. Hey, you bat bunch. I forgot to ping the Discord, so let's go do that. How is everyone? How's everyone this morning? Let's see. Stream pings. Oh no. Alright. Ping in the Discord. Now, let me grab my chat, and we'll be ready to go. Sorry, I'm a little behind this morning. But other than that, I'm doing pretty well. Yeah. There we go. I know I did scare my, Discord server just a bit, because I, you know, talked about maybe not going live with, the class today? Lecture? I don't know. What is Yammer time? Podcast? Because I did get rear-ended yesterday, but I feel fine. So, we're gonna continue. I'm holding up well, yeah. No headache today. So I think we're all good. We're all good. Alright. Let's get my notes. Yeah. Got my notes. Let's see. Can you guys hear the music okay? Is it a good volume? Should it go a little louder? I can't hear the music, and I need Lasso to fix that for me. But, yeah. Alright, looks like chat's working, and... yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's just get into the lecture. If I can grab the right Firefox window. Here it is. Alright. There we go. Everyone can see? Yeah? Okay. Alright. Okay. So, today's topic on Yammer Time is content creator tips specifically for people who have limited time, for people with limited energy, for people with chronic illnesses, for people who are easily overwhelmed. The common thread in these creators' lives is that you have external factors that add a factor or a aspect of lack of control and limited resources. Whether that be that you are a parent and, you know, parenting can be really unexpected. Your child could come down with, you know, a fever, and even though you planned to put them in bed by 8, you know, they're not having it that night. Stuff like that, that I would like to talk about in this guide. I myself, I don't talk about this a lot on stream, but I myself have a chronic illness that limits my time and energy. Unfortunately, I feel like it gives me a factor of inconsistency, which can be really frustrating when you want to be a streamer who goes live. But I have other, you know, just life factors that get in the way sometimes. So I can definitely talk from experience on this topic. So thank you to my friends, though, who helped me with this guide. First off, we have Okus. He was on stream on Tuesday, but he also gave me quite a few tips. Greybach. If you guys don't follow Greybach and you like satire and VTuber news, you should definitely check out his channel. Miri is a very intelligent VTuber who's just getting her career started. She specifically talks about VTubers and their voices, which I find really, really interesting. Kenisu is another commentary VTuber and one of my very close friends. And then Shog, who just rebranded to the Eldritch Library, does commentary and news and Gundam. So you should definitely check out my friends. They all really helped with this. Oh no, not sure if this is a compliment or not, but I would have never guessed had you not told us. Yeah, I haven't been like transparent on stream just because I don't think it's like something that's usually relevant to mention, but I figured during this guide it would be good to draw from my own experiences so that it doesn't sound like I am talking down to anyone, because I'm in your same exact boat. Hey Yam, how's it going? It's going great. Okay, so introduction aside, we're gonna get into the meat. So the first point I have, and something that I am trying to do myself, is consistency over quantity. So consistency is trying to keep things the same quality, same time, like same start time, that kind of thing, same upload schedule. Not that, like, I'm not super success focused, but I do really try to keep things consistent for my audience sake. Now, last year, I was not consistent at all. I would just upload randomly, and I would create when I can. So that is a valid approach to content creation. However, it is not ideal for building an audience, and it's not ideal for your audience to have to try and follow you when you're being inconsistent. So consistency over quantity is what I am trying this year, and so far I think it has gone well. I know we are only in the 3rd week of January, but hear me out. I already feel like it has improved my connection with my audience, and it has also made content creation easier because I have a loose routine in mind. Yeah, you do fall out of your audience's radar if you are not consistent. There's like something in social media that's called relevance, and I feel like content creators are constantly afraid of losing relevance, and for good reason. Because your audience is following hundreds of creators, it can be really easy to be forgotten, and that sounds really scary, but that's not like the end of the world. As long as they're still subscribed to you, the moment you upload, a few people will definitely remember that you indeed exist. Hold on, I'm just gonna blow my nose really quick, so I'm gonna mute. Okay, so this is how I have been keeping things consistent. Keeping a baseline bare minimum that you can do on your lowest weeks, and keeping that as your main goal. Here is not the time to be ambitious. For your bare minimum, this is the amount of time and energy you could dedicate to your content creation. on your worst weeks. On weeks where nothing's going right and you have no time to prepare. That should be your goal, your baseline goal. That's what you communicate out to your audience as your stream schedule. Now, for weeks that are actually going better, that's the weeks you can be ambitious and start planning projects on top of that, or extra streams. And your audience will find them to be a pleasant surprise, yeah? But keeping a baseline bare minimum of content that you make, even when, you know, your life is super chaotic, is kind of the goal of the low energy, low time content creator. Now, if you don't even have the bandwidth to do it once a week, try every other week, try once a month. Just keep that one slot as open as possible. Now, it's always great when, you know, things start going better. Your health is giving you, like, more opportunity, you have more time and energy, it's like holiday break for college and, you know, you have more time. That's when you go to your dreams journal, the ambitions you write down, and you return to that, and you can then move on to the more ambitious projects, the projects you've been dreaming about, because your schedule, your time, your energy has opened up to allow you to do that. But realistically, the only thing you promise your audience is the baseline bare minimum, and anything above that will be a pleasant surprise for them. I have learned to definitely keep my projects under wraps or communicate with my audience that it might not happen, simply because, yeah, my health is unpredictable, and I have learned that I am a very big dreamer who loves to overpromise. So my audience has unfortunately probably learned over the years that if Yam says she's gonna do something, it might not happen. But in like maturing as a creator, I have learned that if you promise the baseline bare minimum to your audience, it'll go a lot better. And then I am hoping to surprise my audience with some fun projects in the future. Yeah. Yes, Gunter detected. Okay, routine that you can actively write down. So once you have like your baseline bare minimum, have a routine that you can communicate to your audience. For me, my regular stream time is right now, Friday, 8 a.m. And I came to that time because that's when my brain works best. That's when my brain is the clearest and I have the most energy, so I stream at 8 a.m. Now that is not ideal for a lot of people in my time zone, that's when they start work. But if I'm real and I'm honest with myself, this is the time of day that I can give my best self. So I have just accepted that, you know, I will find an audience in which that schedule works for, and I will just try and make my VODs as viewable as possible so that people who are watching the VODs, I see you and I love you, by the way. I love your comments after the stream. That is, you know, the routine that I can actively follow, and I just try and adapt my content to suit that routine the best I can. Because in the low energy, low time crowd, we don't really get to pick our schedule. It kind of gets picked for us in life, right? If you work full time, you can't stream at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, right? It just, you find places to fit it into your life rather than being able to work around an ideal stream schedule. So I recommend finding what works in your life, a routine, and then just sticking to it, and the right audience will find you and will follow you eventually. And if you're still worried about it, like I said, you can try to make your VODs as watchable as possible. It really depends on the content you make. But if you enjoy video editing, or you have the extra funds to hire an editor, that's really helpful to catching audience at a different time. So yeah. Okay, next point. Meet your physical needs first. This is also something I had to learn the hard way. Let me take a sip. Or when your landlord is strict about you doing something useful with your time. I mean, I definitely think that streaming in the morning does help me with the whole productivity thing, and having the rest of my day to be quote-unquote productive after stream. And it is also the least intrusive to the family I live with. So, maybe give morning streaming a try. Or reframe streaming. If you live with people who might think that streaming and playing video games isn't a productive use of your time, reframe it. Say, you know, this is my creative hours, and I find that being creative once a week really helps my productivity in other aspects. You can get creative in how you frame streaming to the rest of your housemates. Okay, next point. Meet your physical needs first. Alright. I know you see what's on screen. You know that I'm already going to rant about social media. I'm sorry, but it's true. When we have limited energy, it's so tempting to use social media as a low energy, like brain numbing task. And I'm not saying you can't, I still do. But I think it becomes a problem when you find yourself actually being more drained than rested. A lot of the time, social media can be a contributor to the reason you feel drained. And when you're having limited time and energy as a content creator, the last thing you want to do is worsen that problem. So if you're finding, I found myself in 2021 to 2023, so 2 years of my life, I found myself in this like creation loop where some of what I do on my channel is commentary on VTubers, right? I found myself in this kind of loop where I would constantly look at Twitter and try and like make bigger assumptions about VTubers. Like, I was using that Twitter time to analyze like trends on VTubers, and I feel like that was a huge waste of my time, even though I felt like it was productive. I was like, okay, well, there's this trend going on in VTubers, and I want to know the bigger meaning of it. What does it mean about the nature of VTubers? So I would continue to scroll these, like, dramas. For instance, here's an example. There was this ongoing, like, trend to accuse other VTubers of copying your design. And I was like, oh, this is such an interesting topic. Why do people keep accusing other people of stealing their designs when all I see are design similarities and inspiration at most, but definitely not copying? There was no greater purpose to my scrolling. In reality, the answer 100% of the time was clout. There are very few, like, copycat claims that actually mean anything, and the majority of the reason why you would talk about something like that on your personal social media, instead of handling something in private, was for internet attention. And I was a very naive bat and thought, oh, well, if I analyze VTubers on social media, I'll get a better sense of who we are as a demographic, and I'll be able to better make content for VTubers. And I think I was kind of kidding myself there. I think it's a lot simpler than I thought it was. It's basically, people are posting dramatic and angering content in order to get your attention. And they might not even be conscious that they're doing that. They just know that that kind of content works. They're not trying to anger people, they just know that they get more attention when they post this certain way that happens to anger people. And when you are in that social media loop, that anger can really take a toll on your mental health and also your physical health, and it can waste your time. Wasting your time on social media being angry does not make you a better content creator. Our VTSO director in chat says, I want to anger people. Well, then VTSO is going to be very popular, huh? You're making amazing content with all that jazz. I legitimately feel like I am more free to make unique and interesting content and talk about things I'm actually passionate about without the social media. Now, I'm not gonna say don't ever use social media. I'm not saying social media is bad. Anger through music is great though, please do. What I'm going to say is you need to limit your social media. Be intentional with your social media. And now I sound like one of those lifestyle gurus, but hear me out, okay? There's a time for social media and there's a time for rest. And social media should not count as rest. Once I reframed that in my brain, it made me realize a lot of my habits. I would go to social media when it was time to take care of my body and rest. And that is like running on a treadmill backwards. It's just, it's not good. And it's counterintuitive. That's the word. All right, hold on. Yeah, counterintuitive. For real, the reason I got into the VTuber rabbit hole because I was so tired of geopolitical news. Yeah, news can do the same thing. I am of the mind that we as humans were not wired to understand what was going on in every country of the world all at once. I think it can be very mentally taxing to try and keep tabs on everything. And I really do hate the culture. Okay, I hope this isn't political. I really hate the culture that judges people for needing to escape from politics and all the bad in the world. And I think VTubers at the start was the perfect escape. The perfect escape for all of us. In a time, for me it was the pandemic, in a time where everything was so bleak outside. And I try really hard with my content to to give people that escape, and to give people encouragement to continue to be creative, even when the world is falling apart around them. So I think meeting your physical needs, especially rest, before you factor in when you're gonna do social media is important. Now, I know the transition away from using social media as rest is difficult. You have this like itch. You got this itch to check. And you feel this sense of missing out every time. But I assure you, you're not missing out. And once you distance yourself, once you get yourself out of that bubble, you realize how unimportant and stupid a lot of the drama is. I really genuinely thought, like, oh, if I miss one of the current events in the VTuber sphere, I'm not gonna make good content. I legitimately told myself that. And the first week of me, like, not having Twitter and other social media on my phone, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I even gonna, like, talk about? There's gonna be, like, this huge Hololive graduation and I'm not gonna know about it. Guess what? If there's a big event in VTuber sphere, it'll get posted in one of the private Discord servers I'm in, and then I will be aware of it, so I don't even have to go on Twitter. And even if you totally miss it, it'll be waiting for you when you get back, yeah. Knowing 30 minutes earlier than you would have is not really worth it. Yeah. There's a time for politics, there's a time for indulging in entertainment. Social media mixes everything, and the algo boosts controversy because the greater engagement it gets, yeah. And I also curate my social media with a lot of plugins in Firefox, so that I don't get recommended content anymore. That is upsetting. And I'm very selective with my following. The only social media I have on my phone currently is Instagram and Pinterest, and I'm even trying to limit my Instagram with this app called OneSec, which puts a bunch of barriers in place, and it bugs you every 10 minutes and makes you do breathing exercises every 10 minutes the whole time you use the app, so that it breaks that social media loop. And I only end up spending like 30 minutes tops, because by the third breathing exercise I'm like, okay, I want to do something else. So yeah, I feel like if you do want to use social media, using it intentionally and not viewing it as rest is a really good mindset to have for people with limited time and energy. Now, for meeting your physical needs, instead of social media, I recommend having a journal of ideas. It can even be the notes app on your phone. It doesn't need to be a physical journal. I use a personal Discord server where I just write down all my ideas. When inspiration hits naturally, you can write it down in your journal, rather than sitting at a computer or doing quote-unquote research that just ends up in social media scrolling. We're talking about, like, efficiency in your creative work here, because I'd much rather be doing productive rest, where my mind naturally gets inspired by something, I write it down so that it's out of my mind, and then I continue to have productive rest, than, you know, using my rest time to kind of be still online and still be thinking about VTubers and thinking about streaming. Because I was watching an interview with Iron Mouse recently, and she talked about this. She's like, I can never actually turn it off. I can never stop being Iron Mouse. I'm online pretty much 24/7, and so there is no work separation. And that is how I used to function. Especially when my chronic illness is flaring up. I think some of my Bat Bunch remember that I got a concussion. And it was a pretty unfortunate scenario because, you know, I couldn't do a lot of things for almost a year. And so I just kind of became a lurking online gremlin. And I became really bitter because I wasn't doing productive rest. I was just like half in, half out, trying to spin the gears of my head that didn't work. And I ended up deleting a lot of the content I did make during that time just because it wasn't good. But it was like 5 times the amount of work as like if I had just productively rested and come back when I was ready. Yeah. So productive rest is so important. Meeting your physical needs first is so important so that the content you make is higher quality, and that you don't burn yourself out before you even make the content. I think trying to force ideas on yourself when you're trying to rest is just a recipe for disaster. Instead of forcing ideas, you should be resting and then waiting for inspiration to hit. If you have like a deadline, I totally understand like having to force yourself to come up with an idea, which is why friends are great in that situation. Yeah. I spent 3 years focusing on my health first before finally coming back to content creation. Yeah. I really do think that health breaks are really important. And I'm really sorry and I'm sad that they're not emphasized in our creator culture. But for those who are like, okay, well, if social media is not productive rest, this is what I consider productive rest. Time away. If you're resting from content creation, you should not be able to access the content creation. When I need time away, I mean, okay, I know not everyone has the luxury of mods, but I do tell my mods, like, hey, I'm gonna be away, please look after my Discord server, and then I legitimately log out of my Yam Discord, so that I'm not even in contact with my audience. I don't have social media, my VTuber social media on my phone, and I'm logged out of my Discord, and then I've even gone to the lengths of like unplugging and storing my computer so that I'm not tempted. Isn't that wild? But whatever you can, if you need productive rest, time away. Oops. Something unproductive. I have the kind of brain that tells me I need to be productive 24/7, which is really bad if you also have a chronic illness, because it's hard to convince yourself that the rest you are taking is necessary, but it really is necessary because you're gonna crash and burn if you don't take it. So I'm constantly in this like battle with myself to force myself out of productivity mode in order to productively rest. So doing something unproductive can really help. For me, I'm like a social unproductive person. If I want to be unproductive, then oftentimes I will call up my friends or call up my boyfriend and ask them to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Or fighting games. That's my go-to. Another one that I love to do is I love to show my siblings some of the games I grew up with. Right now we're playing through Sly Cooper, and that's a lot of fun. And I consider those so important, those moments where I'm being unproductive. It's a lot more efficient rest than being in that half productive mode of just, you know, trying to think of topics or scrolling social media or trying to stay up to date with some stupid aspect of the internet that actually isn't important. So it's really important that the sooner you realize this, I think the more efficient your rest will become. Another thing, connection to art, nature, or loved ones. I usually pair something unproductive with this one. For art, I specifically, because of the whole AI art bummer that is going on in the world, I have gone completely traditional, completely analog with my art. I just stopped painting digitally, and I started making art for me. With pencil, scrap paper, and alcohol markers. And I absolutely love that time. It is so good. It is like way more fulfilling art than I have felt in a long time. And I specifically don't share that art because it's for me. Which means I stopped posting art, but I kind of reclaimed art for myself. Nature. Every day I do take my dog for a walk. And walks can really help when I'm in a really bad mood, and I just feel like I've shut myself in for too long. Going out and taking a walk is a really... I know it sounds like I'm stating the obvious, but if you can't even walk on the days where I feel like I can't even like go outside, I force myself to go out the door, set a timer for 10 minutes, and just sit in the sunshine. And even that can be better than not doing anything about it. And then of course loved ones, putting your phone down and just reconnecting with your parents, asking basic questions like how was your day, calling up someone you haven't in a while, or just texting them. Really, really good rest. Okay. And then another one is solitude. If you are an introvert, this one is for you. But, you know, even us extroverts can benefit from some solitude once a month or so. I feel like sometimes just taking an afternoon to just kind of like be in your bed with a good book can be really, really relaxing. And if I'm really tired, I will be in my bed and have nothing going on, like literally just like staring at the ceiling or listening to music. All very good. I would just say don't rot don't let yourself rot. But yeah, that's another form of rest. You also have your viola note. At least personally, music is an incredibly coping, relaxing mechanism or outlet. Right now, I do feel like viola is part of my content creation though. So, I don't usually do it to, be unproductive, because I consider viola productive. But it is a wonderful outlet. Yes. A safe space where you can be yourself. Now, I know that some streamers consider their stream a safe space where they can be yourself, so this is where it gets a little messy. I'm not one of those streamers, though. I do try to keep myself generally professional, and I am not someone who overshares with my audience. I consider myself to be more, like, here hanging out with like-minded creators and having a creative discussion as much as possible. And, you know, my audience, I don't allow my audience to overshare, and I don't overshare myself, so we're just kind of, like, here connecting with our shared interests in a not formal space, but not a, you know, in a public space, I will say. And I don't feel like I can be myself in a public space. So I generally am completely myself only in private spaces, with my boyfriend, with my friend group, off screen. So I definitely think having a safe space where you can be yourself outside of your stream or your videos is very important. And finding those spaces can be difficult, but it's very rewarding when you do find them. So yeah, don't give up. Do find yourself a little slice of the internet, or a little you know, friend group in private where you can actually release and be yourself and not be worried about, you know, someone posting about it or finding it 5 years later and, like, canceling you for it. I've been listening to Warriors on audiobook most days. Aw, audiobooks. I gotta return to audiobooks. I love audiobooks. But yeah. Moral of this, the big idea is don't waste time on social media and call it rest. Okay? Consider these things to be more productive rest, especially if you have limited time or energy, or you're chronically ill. Having a real game plan on how to get the most rest out of the time you have to rest, it's so important. And once you have this firm foundation of a rest recipe, and you know what works best for you, dedicating most of the time to rest and a little bit of the time to consistent content creation will actually improve the quality of your content. So it sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. I have found this to be true. I used to spend so much time on content creation. Just either half dedicated to it or full dedicated to it all the time. Right before I went to bed, I was constantly thinking of, like, video ideas. I used to spend 10 hours editing videos. I used to constantly keep my social media up to date. And now I feel like I've let a lot of that go. In exchange, I have put a lot more rest in my schedule. And then just naturally, I do feel like I got more inspired to have more educational streams. Now, I know educational streams aren't as smooth as my educational videos, but I feel like as a result of me taking all the pressure off and giving myself the proper rest that I need, I'm able to create at a pace that I am happy with. And though quality is really gonna come with practice over time, that is something I'm willing to have as a trade-off. And I already think that I'm getting more and more satisfied with the way Yammer time is going just in the first 3 times I've done it. Let's see, audiobooks. Audible is great. Also, pro tip, if you have a local library, check if they have Libby. Yes, I use Libby. It's an app that's basically online library where you can check out books and audiobooks on your phone. Really useful if you're on a budget, yes. Can drawing be used as resting time? Yeah. I have it under connection to art. I doodle all the time. I doodle and journal at the same time, which I feel like is a lot of fun. Because it feels like I'm making kind of like a comic book of my own life. So what I'll do is like, oh, you know, this happened today, and then I'll draw it, and it's like so much fun. And I use a very silly art style because it's only for me. Only I am gonna see it. Yeah. Ooh, cheesy rice and key lime pie. That sounds like a great time. So, rest. Important, okay? That will actually help you make better content. Alright, here we go. I hope I don't sound out of touch here, because I know a lot of my audience is just starting out as a content creator, and you might be like, oh, it's easy for you to say, yeah, you have opportunities. I don't have opportunities. But you know what? Eventually, the opportunities are gonna come, and I want you to be prepared, okay? Say no to most opportunities so that you can say yes to the very best. Is watching this rest? I don't know. That's a good question. It depends on, you know, if this gives you, like, solace or anxiety, I guess. Hopefully I'm not giving anyone anxiety today. But yeah, say no to most opportunities so that you can say yes to the very best. This is kind of like the minimalism principle, and you know what? I used to be like a really devout minimalist, and now I've kind of relaxed because I realize that some objects make me happy. But the whole point of like original minimalism is to not overload yourself with stuff so that you can really appreciate what you do have and what you do enjoy, right? So that is the principle here. If you are given too many opportunities for your time and your energy, then it's time to start culling your opportunities. Yeah, opportunities comes with obligations and deadlines. Hurts so bad if you can't devote time and energy. I used to constantly feel guilty because, okay, guys, I'm so sorry if I sound out of touch. I'm someone who grew very suddenly on YouTube, which meant I was suddenly going from 20 viewer average on my videos and 3 viewer average on my streams to 5,000 subscribers almost overnight, and a lot of streams where I was, you know, so nervous about the viewer count that I had to hide it from myself. To this day, I still hide the viewer count. I have no idea of how many you guys are out there in the audience. Yeah, you struck a vein and you got caught off guard. Yeah, basically. And as a result, suddenly I was being approached a lot. For collabs, for sponsorships, for brand deals, and like project deals, you know, where I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed by the amount of opportunities. And I felt like I was in the space where I was like, well, I just got my quote-unquote break where people noticed me. I don't feel like I can say no to anything because who knows how long this is gonna last. I had this constant fear and imposter syndrome that I would lose relevance and all these opportunities would be gone. So I need to take them the moment they happen. But that is not the right mentality to have, okay? Does not matter your follow count, okay? Your time is just as valuable with someone with 1 million subscribers. Because we are all humans and our most precious resource is time, okay? Do not take your, oh, I'm not worthy of this opportunity. I'm not worthy of this opportunity, so I need to take it regardless of the terms. Whether this be a sponsorship, a collaboration that you're invited to, a commission, or even like an agency scouting. A lot of the times, I'm just gonna say it outright, a lot of the times these brand deals are not as good as they seem. They specifically say, like, oh my gosh, like, you know, we're offering you this amazing opportunity even though you only have 5,000 subscribers. We just love what you're doing here. And they're kind of talking down to you on, like, the amount of subscribers. And they're like, well, due to your, like, low subscriber count, we're only going to offer you... my first sponsorship deal, and I didn't take it so I can say this, my first sponsorship deal was a video game that was offering me... What was it? I think it was $48, yeah, for 10 hours of gameplay. $48 for 10 hours of gameplay. They said the campaign lasted 10 hours. I don't even know, like, how long it would have taken me to do it. And I felt guilty for taking it down, or, like, turning it down, because I was like, how dare I turn this down, because this might be my only sponsorship opportunity. And I had this, like, idea that, like, if I have sponsors under my belt, then more opportunities are gonna come. You know what? Sounds like Raid? Yep, you guessed it. It was Raid Shadow Legends. And I feel like a lot of people take that deal just for the meme to say that they were able to be sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. And I did not take it, no. But yeah. Don't take sponsors that are not worth your time. Like, brands don't care about what other brands you've worked with before. It's not like you're building a resume. Okay? You're not building a resume. Just take the ones that you actually want to do. Bad sponsorships actually harm your audience. First of all, if you're not carefully doing your research, you could accidentally scam your audience. Do not take things just because they're your first offer. Sponsorships aside, do not take collab spots with people you don't really know or like just because you think it's gonna be good networking. It never works out. Your audience can always tell you're not having a good time, guys. They can always tell that you're just there, but you don't really know anyone there. And it actually can be detrimental if you're just there to network. And I feel like that's something, genuine connection is something that you cannot easily fake. Yeah. Your audience also gets fed up with you if you keep adding ads and sponsors to your stuff, yeah. But yeah. Collabs, vibes can't lie, exactly. I see so many VTubers doing this. So many. I think, it's not only VTubers, but VTubers have a kind of horrible habit of doing this. Our community in particular is kind of the worst at this. Just, I would highly recommend collaborating with people you actually care about and you actually have things in common with. Doesn't need to be that, like, you already know them like your best friends, but you should have, like, a connection off stream before you even try to go on stream. And I feel like there's these large collabs, like, when you start growing, are we gonna get a little bit spicy here? I am. Okay. So, I think a lot of you know that I rebranded right before I started making videos. I used to be a streamer named Lorelei Alto, and right before I started making videos, I rebranded to Yam Komori. Now it's Yam Albat. But when I was Lorelei, I was kind of pushed out of a lot of the, like, popular VTuber circles, and that was fine with me. My model was a little wonky, I'm a little bit quirky, I get it, and my subscriber count was low. So I chilled out with my friends at VTuber Network, and I didn't care about, like, you know, when one of the people would make it big and join the popular VTuber group, I didn't really care. It was sad that, like, our connection would sever after that, but, you know. But then, when I started gaining relevance as Yam, I had people who didn't know that I was Lorelei come to my DMs as Yam and say, hey, you know, I would love to collab with you. And I was just like, what happened to collabing with Lorelei? You shut me out as Lorelei. And now you're suddenly coming to me as Yam, trying to network with me so that some of my subscribers will rub off on you. It's so disingenuous. So anything in common with, won't make good content with, or you're not already friends with. Just cut those collabs out. Not worth your time. Your time is valuable, and these giant collabs where no one can really communicate well with the group, and you just get talked over by bigger voices anyways, not worth it. And as Yam, once that happened, like, I used to collab with a ton of people as Lorelei. We had, like, community game nights where I had open voice chat, and someone did something really inappropriate on my stream as a result. And so as Yam, I really, really cut down on the collabs. I only collab with friends at this point. The business side of socializing, it really is, but I really find that networking is a lot more productive when you focus on skills and trades more than you know, like, hey, you wanna be in this 50 VTuber crab game? Yeah. I remember the time you talked about getting an email that called you Yamal Bat. Yes. Yes, that has happened multiple times, actually. It's hilarious. And then for artists, do not take below minimum wage commissions. If you're drawing something for a friend, that's different. Like, you can just draw for a friend because you want to. Don't take below minimum wage commissions. Your time is too valuable, your skill is too valuable. it means that you might not be able to make a living off your art. And I'm really sorry about that. That is just reality. But you shouldn't value your time if you're taking your business seriously to take commissions below minimum wage, honestly. It's a lot harder to raise your prices later than lower your prices. I'm not like an expert on commission pricing, but that is my one thing, is just like, make sure it's worth your time, because your time is valuable. And us as creators, we tend to undervalue our time. But when you're a creator with limited time and energy, it is really important that you treat your time and energy like a precious, precious resource and not give it to other people in ways that doesn't actually benefit like you, and it's not a good use of your time. Yeah. Alright, let me take a sip and we'll go to the next point. Alright. Here's where my friends come in. They really helped with this point, because I am not an efficient creator. I'm trying to get there. But this is where my friends really helped. First tip, reuse thumbnail bases and use a Stream Deck or Stream Deck program to automate different functions. Reuse thumbnail bases is something that I just did. I just made thumbnail bases this week. One for gaming and one for Yammer time. And we're gonna continue to reuse those thumbnail bases so that people can immediately recognize it as my content. Now, I will say, let's say it's not like ideal to reuse thumbnails completely, because people might think they've already watched your video because they recognize the thumbnail. However, for me personally, making thumbnails is just not fun. I don't like graphic design, so I am going to reuse thumbnails. Is that good for growth? No. Is it good for me and my sanity? Yes. But for other people, I would recommend reusing the base of the thumbnail, but then changing it up every time, just with a new, new graphic, new piece of art, or new text on it each time. Yeah, making thumbnails makes me want to launch myself into the sun. I agree. I will also say that changing my thumbnail style to reflect, better reflect who I am rather than what the popular thumbnail style in my niche is something that I've done recently and I'm really happy with. I use a goofy font in yellow rather than using the bold black and white and red, all in caps, dramatic things that I have for my whole YouTube journey so far. And the only reason I used that was because that was what worked for other people, and I really just gonna say I copied other successful creators with my thumbnail style so that maybe someone would click on it, and it worked. Yeah. This reminds me of what a lot of big VTubers do. Use fan art of other people did for them. Yeah! Making thumbnails look good needs brain cells. 'Tis basically composition. It really helps to get a ton of fan art you can plop down. Yeah, it does. Thumbnail with the pointing and the red circle. Yeah! Hello, legally distinct Batwoman. What's cooking? That is honestly the best the best greeting I've gotten in my almost 5 years of streaming. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay. back on topic. I think if you're gonna reuse thumbnail bases, there's a lot of templates you can find online of .psds. That's the Photoshop, like, file type. But you don't have to use Photoshop to open and edit it. So either a .psd template, or, this is what I did, I found Canva templates. Let's go over to Canva really quick. Let me hide my Firefox just so I don't dox myself, because I do have 2 Canva accounts. Okay, we're good. So if we go over to Canva, we go create a design here. Just type in thumbnail. And then, like, a vibe that you're going for. So I would say thumbnail cute. Because that's what I was... Oh wait, no, not here. Not here. Where do you search? Is it just here? Yeah, cute thumbnail. And you scroll. A lot of these are free to use. And then you just edit it to be how you want. Honestly. It's really, really, really easy. You can also make channel intros this way. And it takes like 20 minutes. And then you can copy paste this thumbnail. Like I'll show you. You can copy paste this thumbnail and rearrange things. So this is my regular Yammer time. This is my regular gaming stream. And then I have this alternate gaming stream for Sonic streams that I made. Using the same exact template. I just changed out the images. Yeah? Yeah. Will this be recorded? Yes. It will be on the live tab of my channel. Remember that the thumbnails of Golden Age of Minecraft YouTube? Those were sick. Yeah! Canva saves a lot of time, honestly, with thumbnails, yes. Early Minecraft YouTube was really VTubing without the weebness. Yeah, pretty much. So many Canva templates in the VTuber Assets server. If anyone needs to find them, more than the software provides an app. Good to know. Yeah. So yeah. Very much, reuse thumbnail bases. That's gonna save you a lot of, time. And brain cells. Okay. Now, not Steam Deck. Use a Stream Deck or a Stream Deck program to automate certain tasks. My Stream Deck, I have a Stream Deck, but there are programs that allow you to just emulate a Stream Deck on your desktop. So you don't need to get a Stream Deck. If you're a VTuber, having that managed toggles is great. But specifically for content creators in general, you can have your Stream Deck automatically post things for you when you go live. You can have it automatically run ads. You can have it open OBS for you, and like any process that you use your computer for, you can use your Stream Deck or your program to just push a button and it happens. It takes a lot of brain cells initially to set up, but it makes it so much easier to actually just go live. And I feel like when starting a creative hobby, the hardest thing when it comes to consistency is the friction you feel before you start, right? For instance, it can be hard for me to practice viola if my viola is packed away in the closet. So what I do is I leave my viola, in its case, of course, for safety, but like out, so that all I have to do is open my case and get my viola out instead of rummage through my whole closet and find my viola and then get it out and then be like, where's my music stand? Where's my music? I have it all set to go so that when I am ready to practice, there's a lot less in the way right before I practice. So I feel like the Stream Deck or Stream Deck program is that exact principle, but just with streaming or content creation. You could even do it like, let's say you were an artist. You could set up your Stream Deck so that it opens Photoshop and opens your cozy playlist, and it has all your shortcuts on your Stream Deck, like Control Z and stuff. Yeah, so speaking of Stream Deck, you can use Touch Portal for a lower cost and existing device like a tablet phone. Nice. Anyone hear about Aru controls? It's inspired by Stream Deck and reminds me of Nintendo Labo, but for the PC instead. Thank you guys for name dropping, because I didn't know any specific programs because I already have a Stream Deck, but I know they exist. VTubing has much friction, having to set up the camera, fire up VBridger, fire up VTube Studio, connect them all, fire up the stream program, get the browser ready. Yeah. That's why I highly recommend using one of these programs to automate the process. I just use a programmable mini keyboard, got it for $20. That is a fantastic idea. Something that helps you automate these friction steps that can make content creation really overwhelming for you. Minimize that friction. That also means keeping your space tidy. I know that I'm way less prone to actually use my computer productively if my desk is a mess. Revenant, that's really clever. How'd you learn that? Yeah, Revenant, big brain Bat Bunch member. A lot of good ideas. Voice Meter also has a MIDI board that you can use to program buttons. Very nice. Yeah, there's a lot of creative solutions to this. Next, one of my friends who helped me with this guide, Shog, she recommended this social media program. Like I said, I don't spend much time on social media, and I kind of gave up on posting on social media as well. But for those who want to continue to post on social media, while you are recovering from social media addiction, I think this is really good. And even if you're not recovering from social media addiction, if you just want to post in multiple places all at once and manage multiple social media accounts, engagement-wise, this is a really fantastic... What? It's so loud. Hold on. Let us turn it down before I unmute. Here we go. Hopefully this isn't copyrighted.
Media management is complex. You are a photographer, designer, video editor, community manager, an analyst. Yet, people think all you do is spend all day on social media. There has to be a better way. And there is. Buffer is a social media management platform built to streamline your workflows and showcase the value of your work. First, analyze your previous posts to see what's working. Know when to post, what to post, and how often to post. Once you're ready, plan and prepare your social media campaigns to increase your reach, engagement, and traffic. Then, jump straight to the posts that need your immediate attention. And never miss an important comment. Finally, repeat the cycle by analyzing your new posts. Measure the impact of your work and report your results so that your team understands the power of social media. Buffer helps you simplify your social media workflows, all in a single platform, so that you can focus on building your brand and maybe take that vacation day that you've been putting off.
Yeah, Buffer. So I don't use Buffer myself because I've pretty much given up on social media. If I ever return to social media, like if I ever have the bandwidth to return back to social media, I might use it, and I'll let you know how it goes, but I just figured, because a lot of you are, you know, content creators who do use social media, was worth mentioning in this little podcast. So that's Buffer. Yeah. Okay. Next point for simplify and automate and outsource, we have do not waste time on the parts you don't enjoy. Okay? I don't enjoy editing. I've tried to enjoy editing. I don't like it. And I don't have money to outsource it, so we just don't edit anymore. I'm live doing this now. And I really appreciate the people who are willing to sit through my live streams with its tangents and my VOD viewers. Really appreciate you guys, because I know that it is not the most straightforward way to get my information, but this is what I can do comfortably, so we are cutting out editing in order for me to continue to create at a healthy pace. Social media is another one I cut out, and I'm happier for it. Now, I know, like, if you're trying to grow, that this is less feasible. So that is why excuse me. That is why my friend Kenny introduced this principle to me. It's called Pareto's principle. He says it's focus on the 20% of tasks which provide 80% of the results. So, like, streaming and content creation rather than tweets and networking. Because the streaming and content creation is the big important stuff that provides most of the results. Will your results be better if you were also tweeting and networking? Yes, but if you do it the other way around, if you only tweet and network rather than only stream and content create, you're going to be less successful in the long run. So you should focus on the parts that are important and cut what you don't. That doesn't cut the tasks in which don't provide the majority of the results. Don't edit. Oh yes, I have given up unless the audio is whack or I have a simple cut. I just don't. But I'm just a hobbyist. I am just a hobbyist as well. I do edit lightly. I cut out the start intro of every VOD and any BRBs. And I do that natively in YouTube. So all my VODs, after they finish processing, I just cut the first like 5 minutes or so of the just starting soon screen, and that's the amount of editing I can provide. Oh my gosh, I have the sneezes this morning. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay. Another thing. Depends on your budget. Depends on how serious you are about content creation. Outsourcing is a huge help, but depends on your budget. If you don't enjoy part of the content creation process, let's say you don't like editing, hiring an editor can be a huge help to you and take a huge weight off your shoulders. But outsourcing doesn't have to be expensive. Outsourcing can be free. You just have to know where to look. For instance, if you hate graphic design, going over to Canva for your graphic design and having a template, that's technically like outsourcing. Getting VTuber assets that are already pre-made instead of commissioning new things for thumbnails, also outsourcing. Finding free resources on Booth, whether that be new outfits or free models, can outsource some of the work. But, you know, things like script writing, or script writers, editors, managers, those can be a huge, huge help if you do have the budget. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, my brain went blank. An alternative to outsourcing, and this is how I quote-unquote outsource a lot, is I have kind of a support group of labor traders. Meaning, like, my friend group, we all have different skills, and we trade skills. So, you know, my expertise is more in the character design and music realm. I will help my friends with their character design and music. And I've traded that for logos, I've traded that for, you know, advice, tech help, rigging, lots of things. Help with 3D. Having a network of like-minded artists who are looking for other artists with a different skill set can really help you outsource work in your budget. Yeah. Real, that's something I'm hoping to do in the future for my stuff. Very, very welcome in my Discord server to do that. Call Lasso, yeah, he's my IT guy. And guess who helped him with his character design? You see? It's a trade of labor. So yeah. Let me take a sip before we go on to the next point. This may be the most obvious point. Break improvements into steps and do not compare yourself to others. So for content creators with low energy or not a lot of time, you cannot compare yourself to someone who has all the time, resources, and energy in the world. The best way to improve when you have limited resources is to break it into steps. Instead of like, oh, I'm gonna overhaul my entire OBS, you write down that goal, but then you break it into 5 steps. The first thing I need to do is to make a Stream Elements account and learn Stream Elements. Okay, next I need to make a chat overlay. Next I need to bring that chat overlay into OBS. Next I need to look up OBS specs and how much I should, like, adjust my bitrate and streaming quality. Next I should look for overlays. Next, I should install those overlays. And pretty soon, you have a very tangible list of tasks that take 10 minutes each. I would recommend trying to break your tasks into improvement chunks that don't take more than 30 minutes. Okay? So, whenever I am itemizing my list of things I would like to do, that would improve my content, I really do try to break it into these small bites of tasks. So if something's gonna take more than 30 minutes, it should be 2 tasks and not 1. This is especially important for someone who is working, or has really limited time and energy. Because it can be really overwhelming when your time and your energy is such a precious resource. Starting a 5-hour task and can often make you feel like, oh my gosh, I just spent 5 hours on this that I'll never get back. Or you overexert yourself and you've made your chronic illness worse. Or you started something that's gonna take 5 hours and now your family needs you. And they are like, why were you gone for 5 hours? You know? So instead of being like, okay, today's the day I'm gonna overhaul my OBS, you need to break it into an itemized list of 30-minute chunks at most. But I find 10 to 15-minute chunks of tasks is a lot more doable. Kanban techniques are a lifesaver when it comes to work management and continuous improvement. Lots of great sites can help with how to set them up. Kanban. Nice. Remember, the sunk cost fallacy is just that, a fallacy. Just because you started doesn't mean you gotta finish it all the way. Yes, it is. Great inputs today, guys. And then the compare yourself to others part is really, really big. No one is you. I'm just gonna say it. No one is you. No one has your life experiences. And everyone matures in things at different rates. Everyone's skill tree looks different. Everyone's life circumstance look different. The moment you compare your content creation journey to another person's, you're doing yourself a disservice. And it can also contribute to feeling really bitter and jealous about other content creators. I really feel this as someone with a unique life experience. I'll say that. Seeing my friends and like what they're capable of versus what I'm capable of always has been something I struggle with, but I have to realize that I'm the one driving a wedge in between me and my friends when I do that. I always do feel guilty, you know, having limited time and energy to dedicate to things. And I always feel like I can't give my friends, my boyfriend, my audience, my family as much as I would like to. And part of that just comes with having a disconnect between how ambitious my brain is and how much rest my body needs. And that can really like damage your self-esteem over time. And I think people who have, you know, even just spans of time, not necessarily that you are chronically ill for your whole life, but just spans of time where you're not as productive as you feel like you could have been. I meet so many people who are like, if I just started VTubing in 2020, then I would be big now. And they have like this regret that they didn't like push harder in 2020 to make it happen, or that they somehow didn't know knowledge that they know now, or didn't have opportunities to like drop work in order to become a VTuber. And I say to them, like, grass is always greener. Starting VTubing in 2020 was actually really hard. And I think the graduation rate of VTubers who started in 2020 is way higher than the graduation rate of VTubers who started in like 2023, 2024. And I'm really serious about that, because you might be like, if I only started sooner. But if you started sooner, you wouldn't have had any of the resources that are available today. Yeah. Most of the people that started in 2020 are gone. We just don't know about them because, well, they never made it big. Exactly. The people you hear about is because the algorithm brought you to them. The majority of content creators die a silent death, unfortunately. And it's sad to think about, but it's true. That starting VTubing back then sounds like a myth to me. There are plenty of people who did that and are still small today. Yeah. The best time to start a thing was in X time in the past. The second time best time to start is now. I don't even think like the best time to start was in 2020. I think people romanticize that period because they think of like myth. They think of like Hololive myth and think about like V shoujo, and they think about like, oh, those girls, they really just played Minecraft together and they made it huge because, because they, you know, they were right place, right time. Guys, everyone in Hololive Myth started creating at least 5 years before Hololive Myth. More like 10 years for most of them. Does that make sense? You have to, like, realize that they had to wait 5 years for their big break. So comparing yourself, especially to VTubers, when they start clean slate, VTubers start with like a clean slate, and you have no idea of their past or how many years they dedicated to their trade before they quote-unquote started. People will be like, oh wow, this VTuber is so talented out of the gate. And I'm just like, out of the gate? Excuse me? That VTuber has years of work before they became a VTuber, but our brains just accept the Disney magic and be like, oh, I'm so nervous. This is Hana-chan's first time streaming. These VTubers don't just start talented. They worked there. And to just assume that they started talented and they started popular is actually doing them a disservice, yeah. In a way, 2020-2021 is the age of myths for VTubing, the golden lost era. It's pretty idealized, so idealized. Yep, the issues paved a way into desire to improve and develop the resources that made it more convenient for us now, yes. Same stuff was said about groups like Yogscast, yeah. Girls playing Minecraft together is still peak content, it just works. But it's because those girls are experienced and talented that it works. Even if I started back then, I definitely haven't figured out a lot of what I wanted to do and wouldn't have made it regardless. Yeah. There are many people who have other skills that they've just simply applied to this medium. Exactly. Real, I've been drawing and singing for 15 years, but I never edited a video in my whole life. And can I be real? You can draw for 15 years and not be a good artist and still enjoy it. Not saying you're not a good artist, Revenant. You're a fantastic artist. I love your character design. But like, making art itself is the valuable thing. Not how good you are at it. It's how you feel when you do it. It's the fact that you are challenging your brain to be creative. It's the fact that you continue to draw. That is what makes it special, not the final product. Okay? Whenever I am comparing myself to others, I have this thought. The goal is to do this longer and continue to enjoy it, rather than catch up to my peers. Because if I quote-unquote catch up to my peers, I'm not going to be able to keep that pace. I have to accept that I have limited time, I have limited energy, I have different life circumstances than those around me. The people who are seemingly doing fantastic, they have their own struggles that we just don't see. And they're different than my struggles. I will, you know, I will forever struggle with energy, and that is something that I'm sad about. It is sad to, you know, have a chronic illness that prevents you from doing a lot of the things your brain wants to do. But if I keep this goal in mind to enjoy it and do it longer, that really, really helps me. And I have to remind myself constantly that catching up to my peers will only make it so that this hobby will end faster. Yeah. Yeah. Be in it for the long game. And treat yourself right so that you can continue to do what you enjoy. And that is so important, because the important part of creating is that you continue to do it and you continue to enjoy it. If you're not continuing to enjoy it, you should just not do it at all. No matter how many, you know, successes and subscribers you have, people still retire once they stop enjoying it. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. What is with VTubers and chronic illness? You want like a real answer on this? It is really attractive for someone with a chronic illness to do something that doesn't require showing face, doesn't require showing their body, doesn't require as much like getting ready, you know, especially if you're a girl on the internet. The expectation if you're a Twitch streamer is to dress up nice, make your room really clean. VTubing plays to someone with a chronic illness's strengths, which is using their brain and not having to keep up appearances. Why did the soundtrack get intense so suddenly? I feel like I'm playing sort of Solid Snake game. It is because I am still curating my playlist. I'm so sorry. I can't hear the music. I have no idea what you guys are listening to. But I do have a playlist that I bought the rights to so that I never get copyright claimed. Fat Frog music, baby. Yeah, not complaining, just funny. Yeah, so basically VTubing plays to a chronic illness, or a person with a chronic illness's strengths, which is, being entertaining even when you're literally just, like, sitting there in your electric blankie with your legs up and, no makeup on. That kind of lifestyle really appeals to people, especially if they cannot go to a workplace. I mean, for me, with my bare minimum, like I was saying like earlier, consistency over quantity. Keep a baseline bare minimum. My baseline bare minimum, even when I am struggling, is usually that I can still play games and kind of talk. Yeah. So, VTubing is a big appeal for me. And another thing about VTubing that is very appealing for me is the escape element. This might be the only time that I ever mention my chronic illness, and that is very intentional because I don't want to be like the sick girl in my day-to-day streams. It is actually escape from that. Getting to be Yam Albat and look this put together and have fun with you guys without it being like, oh yeah, you know, illness can take over a lot of parts of your life, and it can be really obvious to people when they, you know, see you and be like, when you have to cancel plans with people because you can't go out. That's rarely gonna happen with chronic illness, at least for me. I might have to cancel streams here and there, but most of the time, even if I'm feeling terrible, I can still, you know, open a game and then blame the silly, like, mistakes on Batbrain and, you know, be able to like, laugh at it and have fun with it, rather than it being an obstacle for VTubing. And that's kind of why I've done it for so long. So yeah, I think that is also, you know, it really helps with the social element for people who can't leave the house much. Especially in Iron Mouse's case, like, she said, like, oh, before I started streaming, I didn't have a lot of friends, And once I started streaming, I made friends because she has a immunodeficiency. She basically doesn't have antibodies, so she is sick a lot of the time and can't leave her room. So she basically uses the internet as a way to make friends. So yeah, that is the connection between VTubers and chronic illness. But yeah, last point. When flare-ups occur or something comes up, this is how I handle it with my audience. I communicate, but I don't overshare. I mean, this is like a really like personal thing. Really depends on how you want to handle it. The way I personally handle it myself is to communicate that something's canceled, but I really try to not overshare just because I don't think it's relevant or important for my audience to know, and I'd like to keep things lighthearted. Oversharing can also lead to dangerous situations with stalkers and doxing. You don't want to give too much information to the public about your weaknesses. Whenever you put anything out to the public, assume that the creepiest stalker is gonna have access to that information. Because the public is for everyone. Yeah. Not our business, besides Batbrain is funny and endearing. Exactly. So, communicating with your audience, being like, hey, I'm gonna have to postpone this stream or cancel this project. Communicate that to your audience so that they don't feel like you've just abandoned or shortchanged or are changing the subject. But also, don't overshare information that can be dangerous for you to share or that you're gonna regret sharing. Something that you really have to consider if you're gonna share your chronic illness online, or mental illness or anything, is that people aren't gonna forget that, and you can't exactly erase that. So if you find yourself in like controversy later, and let's say you had a diagnosis for like borderline personality disorder and you've shared that with your audience in the past, at first it can be like, oh my gosh, I've found so many people in my audience that also struggle with BPD. Like, this is so comforting. Until, let's say, you're getting canceled on the internet and suddenly people are like, well, she has BPD, he has BPD, so of course, you know, this can be tied to this mental illness. And people like start digging into your diagnosis and people start being invasive, like, no, I think this person is faking their BPD for attention. And then this personal thing that is really sensitive is suddenly like being dissected by people online. Even people like Iron Mouse deal with this so much, and it breaks my heart, and it's part of the reason why I don't share about my own illnesses, because Iron Mouse deals with so much inappropriate talk about her illness. I'm just like, this is horrible. It's horrible. So be really careful about what you share online, about the reason why you have to cancel things. That is my advice. I wouldn't share too much about, like, if you are a mom or a dad, I wouldn't share too much about your children. Especially I wouldn't, like, share pictures of them. I'm sure, like, VTubers know this, but just don't overshare with the internet. It can be really tempting, especially when you're struggling. Especially when you're struggling. It can be really tempting to be like, hey guys, I have this illness I'm really struggling with, and I'm not saying you can't do that, but I say you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared for the consequences of that later. And I think when we are in a weak moment, we're not thinking about the consequences of what we share. Life happens. If you've cultivated your fan base right, they'll understand. Yeah, you don't need to, like, give excuses. You can really just say, hey, guys, it's not happening today, and I'm really sorry. I'm rescheduling it to this time. And most people will understand. Yeah, there's so many people listing their entire psychiatric diagnosis in their about, and I really feel like that is the young generation's culture to bond over these kind of illnesses. And I do think that, like, support groups are important, but I would highly recommend keeping those support groups for your illnesses private, or use a separate account to your content creation. Because seriously, tying your content creation with your diagnoses is really tricky, and it opens the floodgates of criticism and scrutiny and stalking in a way that I don't think a lot of us are prepared for. How dare you not share your address, blood type, and social security with your audience? Yeah, no need to use the very personal info as a bargaining chip for forgiveness. Yeah, that's another thing that I don't like. When people use their diagnoses as a way to shirk responsibility, that is just immaturity. On the internet, what you say can and will be held against you. Yeah. Always assume your audience has a total creep, federal agent, and a cartel member watching and act accordingly. Exactly. Unfortunately, for every nice, supportive person, there is an equally nasty one, and often it's the nasty ones that are loud. Couldn't have said it better myself. I'm always been of the mindset of my diagnosis is none of your business, and sometimes that is the best way to protect yourself. Exactly. I really feel like these people, often young people sharing their diagnoses on the internet, don't realize that that might haunt them 10 years down the line. Like, your employers can see your social media. That kind of stuff that I'm just like, oh my gosh, you can never take that back. Oof, yeah, moments of weakness, especially the floodgates. That's why it's so important to have a private support group. Yeah. Yeah, you have to do it with purpose, like that VTuber who specifically wanted to talk about what it's like to live with schizophrenia. Yeah. You have to be prepared. You have to calculate and think about it for a long time. I mean, even this script took me a long time, and I actively had to think about, okay, how much do I want to share with my audience right now? I've streamed for almost 5 years mentioning nothing, and I would like to continue to stream with almost mentioning nothing. I really just felt like, for the purpose of this specific episode, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be somewhat transparent where I'm coming from so that people realize that I have background to talk about this. Outside of that, you know, oversharing has no purpose. And there's no reason for me to, you know, share details, or, you know, I don't feel like, unless I am a major streamer doing charity work for my particular illness, there is no reason for me to share it. You know? And again, you have to remember the internet is forever. Sharing your personal medical information can be really detrimental. If someone knows that you are physically weak, mentally weak, they can use that to their advantage to do bad stuff to you. Yeah. Not to mention, like, how many people will dig super deep to try and, like, prove that you don't have this illness. Think about how many people still don't believe Iron Mouse, and still believe that she's a man with a voice changer or an AI. That's the kind of people we're dealing with on the internet, guys. Yeah. I really think that finding support groups for what you're struggling with is important, but anytime you can do that anonymously, disconnected from your personal and creative accounts is very important. Or just having private groups, not public discussions of these things. Ideally, you would have people in your real life that can support you, but I understand that with some conditions that is obviously not available to everyone. I think I've noticed that people have a lot of success joining Reddits under like an anonymous username, sharing their experiences with their illnesses and getting support from people who also have that illness and finding things that help with quality of life through those kind of groups is a lot more effective than sharing with your audience specific details, specific symptoms, specific treatments you're going through. And I'm not judging anyone for that. I just want people to be really prepared and try other options first, because I don't think it's worth it, personally, to put that information tied to my fun content creation, you know? I don't want to be playing Animal Crossing and suddenly someone is like, oh, how's your illness? That sounds like my worst nightmare, because I stream as an escape from real life, right? And I think a lot of people in my audience would agree that that's your purpose for content creation and being creative. It's to escape the hardship of your daily life. So sharing your hardship with your audience and oversharing that hardship actually will be detrimental to building an audience that aids in your escape. Yeah. Aw, so many great points in this stream. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's dangerous if you don't have elsewhere to cope more healthily about it. I so recommend you guys having alternate social media accounts. Don't put it all on your VTuber account. Don't put it all on your art account. Whatever creative endeavor you have, keep that as your little safe haven away from your life and the hardships of your life. And then have an alternate account for support. Because I don't think using your social media as like a multi-purpose thing is very successful. In any way, I feel like it can drive people away because they came for an escape, but it also can make your life harder when you do want an escape. So yeah, I really think that VTubing's strength is allowing anyone, whether they be, you know, ill or easily overwhelmed, have a lot of anxiety, have low energy, not have a lot of time. I think VTubing is this beautiful intersection of being able to have fun with your audience, and not necessarily play a character, but be the best version of yourself in front of your audience at all times. I can sit here in my sweats with no makeup on, with, not super put together room behind me. I'm working on it. And look totally put together and totally presentable in front of my audience, and that is VTubing's greatest strength. And the more personal information you give about yourself while VTubing, the worse that, like, you're not using VTubing for its strengths. You're weakening that aspect of VTubing. Now, I'm not saying that means, oh, if you post a selfie, you're not a VTuber. I'm just saying you're making your life harder. Yeah. Great points. The personal-professional separation is something I've been thinking a lot about lately because of the niche vibes and style of content I want to create. Niche/vibes. Yes. Yeah. I specifically designed Yam. If you guys want to see. I specifically designed Yam to fit the kind of vibe I want to give my audience and the kind of person I want to be. I want to be elegant, I want to be put together, I want to be able to educate people, and I want to give the vibe of someone who is put together and professional, even when I'm being silly. So that is like part of the nice thing about VTubing is I work on my outward appearance once. I've set up my overlays, I've set up my VTuber once, and then it's always there for me. It's always just set up for when I need it. No matter what I look like on the outside, no matter like how falling apart my life is, Yam is always put together and my stream is always put together, which helps me, in a sense, feel more put together and feel more professional before I even hit live, and be able to escape and be like, no matter what's going on in my life, I am this put together, professional, elegant woman. And it actually really helps with my self-confidence, because I'm like, okay, this is me, and with no effort, I can be this put together. Now, I do have bat scuff and I do have bat brain, and that's just stuff I have to accept, is that people are still here despite it. And so I really encourage you to use the illusion of VTubing to your advantage, to give people the perception that you want them to have about you, rather than ruining that perception with oversharing. I hope I didn't make anyone feel terrible about, you know, oversharing. We all have our moments of weakness, so please don't, like, feel bad that you've done it in the past. I would recommend, like, just think before sharing something with your audience in the future, and maybe use redact to go back before you, like, go through your old tweets and your old Discord posts using redact. Redact is awesome, by the way. If you guys don't know what redact is, it is a mass deleter of messages on any social media. And I would highly recommend, like, just searching keywords of things you might have overshared with in the past and wiping the slate clean. Especially if you're still early in your content creation journey. Now's the best time to, you know, wipe the slate clean and move forward with professionalism in mind, or at least lighthearted escape in mind. You don't have to be professional, but I think when you force yourself to have a lighthearted escape tone to your streams, that is actually contagious to you. There's been a lot of times where I don't feel like streaming, but I tell myself I'm just gonna have a good time, and I'm just gonna fake it till I make it. And every time I end stream, I feel better than when I started. It's just a good, like, mental outlet, an escape from what my real life feels like. Yeah. Well, that's actually very effective. I've never thought of my design like that. Yeah, this is how you're presenting yourself to the world, and your design says a lot about how people are going to view you. So, choosing your design wisely is very important, because first impressions are a lot in VTubing. Everyone has moments of weakness, it's just social media is not the replacement for a diary or a friend. Itsumo night. Yes. Couldn't have said it better myself. Y'all good, it's a fine line. I want to create really wholesome and supporting environment. Supporting people and creating a safe space for sharing and discussion often require being a literal vulnerable yourself. I agree, which is why, in order to have this discussion, I decided to be a little vulnerable myself. Yeah, I did this kind of clear up with my personal accounts years back. Yes, it's very important. And I highly recommend Redact. That is how I cleaned up all my social media. And it is free. There's a paid version, but I did everything I needed to with the free version. Just be careful to not delete everything. It's really easy to wipe your entire social media if you don't mess with the settings beforehand, okay? So, yeah, I've pretty much covered the whole thing. But, I figured because this has been going for a while, I'm just gonna do a little bit of an overview really quick. The short version, the too long didn't watch version, or if people came in late, I'm going to go over the whole guide just really quick in short form. Here we go. So today we covered content creator tips for people who have limited time, limited energy, a chronic illness, or people who are just easily overwhelmed. The common thread in all our lives is there are some aspects we have no control over. There's these external factors that constantly get in our way and limit our resources. So how do you continue to be a content creator through your environment of that you do not have control over? You aim for consistency over quantity. You have a bare minimum that you know that you can do even in your lowest weeks with, your life falling apart around you. You can either stream once a week, once a month, and you really commit to yourself, this is my time that I'm going to commit to content creation, and you prioritize it. Bare minimums can look different for every person. Some people's bare minimums are streaming once a week. Some people's bare minimums are streaming every 6 months or uploading a video every 6 months. Just stay consistent and you will attract an audience or hone a craft that supports your bare minimum. Once you have your bare minimum, actively write it down. This is the part of your content creation you share with your audience. The rest, keep a dreams journal, and when you do have extra time, extra energy, or inspiration, use that dream journal to recall what extra projects you actually want to do, so that when the opportunity does come, you get around to the extra things and you don't feel like you can only accomplish the bare minimum, because there's gonna be times in your life where you can go above and beyond and surprise your audience with something extra. Okay, meet your physical needs. Social media is not rest. Rest is time away, something unproductive, connection to art, nature, or loved ones, solitude, especially if you are low energy and an introvert, and a safe space where you can be yourself. Keep a journal of ideas to write down when inspiration hits, instead of doing quote-unquote social media researching for inspiration. Because social media research that just ends up with scrolling is sapping your time and your energy, and it is a lot less natural because you're trying to force ideas and trying to force yourself to get inspired. Inspiration can happen at random times, and as long as you have a journal or a notes app with you, it is better to do that and write down your inspiration and then continue resting rather than, going without, because it's really easy to forget ideas. So I do recommend writing them down so you're not frustrated later. Okay. Say no to most opportunities so that you can say yes to the very best. This might happen to more mature content creators and creatives with a bigger audience. But the rule of thumb is, no matter your follow count, your time is just as valuable as someone with 1 million subscribers, because we are all humans and our most precious resource is time. Don't take bad deals, don't take bad sponsorships, don't involve yourself in collabs that you aren't going to actually benefit from or have fun in. Okay, Simplify, automate, or outsource your processes so they take less time and effort. Cut the parts of content creation that don't produce 80% of the results. Do not waste your time on the parts you don't enjoy. Try to find creative workarounds to circumvent spending a lot of time on the parts of content creation you don't like. This even goes for artists. I didn't even mention this, but like if you hate line art, just don't do line art. Find a way to incorporate your lack of line art into your style and embrace it. If that includes like doing like gestures sketches or doing a lineless art style digitally, or even doing like acrylics so that you can have like hard shapes. There's a lot of ways to work around the parts of content creation you don't like. For me, I stopped doing social media and I stopped editing videos so that I could continue to consistently make educational content that doesn't burn me out. If you do not have money to outsource, find a support group of labor traders, of people who have different skill sets than you, and trade your skill set with another creator's skill set in order to both get what you want. Another really important one is break improvement into steps. I recommend 30-minute steps, 30-minute chunks of tasks, but I really thrive with 10-minute tasks. So instead of saying, I am going to, let's see, I mean, I already used the OBS example. Let's see, I am going to write a composition. I want to write a composition. First, you're gonna have to download the music software, gonna have to learn to use it. Then you're probably gonna have to watch some tutorials on how to compose music. And that's all before you even start, right? You have to break each step down. Otherwise, you're gonna end up spending 5 hours continually on something and be like, oh my gosh, that took up 5 hours of my time and now I have time for nothing else. Breaking improvements into steps and breaking tasks into steps that you can easily put something down and pick it back up later, whether that be a few hours from now or a whole month from now, is very important to people with limited time, energy, and resources. And then, of course, do not compare yourself to others. Your circumstances are unique, your journey is unique, and comparing yourself to others is not helpful. Instead, have a mindset that you want to do your hobby longer and enjoy it more rather than catching up to your peers, because if you catch up to your peers, quote unquote, you know that you're not going to be able to keep the pace and you're going to burn yourself out, and then you're not enjoying your hobby and you're not doing it longer because you're going to give up. When something occurs, when something comes up, communicate with your audience, but avoid the temptation to not overshare with your audience. This is a personal choice. I personally choose to not overshare with my audience because my creative hobby of VTubing is an escape. And I do not want that information used against me, and I do not want it to be brought back up later when I'm trying to have fun. But also, it is a safety issue. I do not want the worst people on the internet knowing my greatest weaknesses. So yeah, that is our guide today. Let me go over chat because I was doing that all in one breath. Let's see. I did manually iron my very old account, but I'll just keep it like it is a photo album of the past and make a new sub later. Yeah, and make a new account for content creation for sure. Oh yeah, there was a Vocaloid producer who only posted a song once a year, but they're all absolute metal bangers. Is it Kikuo? I feel like it's Kikuo. Well, if it isn't the coolest bat that ever existed, well, if it isn't the coolest vampire that ever existed. Good evening. What are we talking about? We are talking about low energy, low time content creation tips. You mean doom scrolling? Yeah, doom scrolling is not good rest. There's a cool RPG who uses ink blotches and then turns them into cool monster pics. Wow. What software do I use, Yam? So, I specifically use, OBS for my stream. But then I stream 2 restreams so that I can have Twitch and YouTube going at the same time so that people can choose the platform they want to watch me on. Then I also use VTube Studio for my live 2D tracking. I use an iPhone for the face tracking for that, and I just plug in my iPhone to my PC to send that data to my computer. Oh, for the composition and music work specifically, I use MuseScore for composing, and then I use Reaper. I use Reaper to record and mix. Yeah. This trooper did this in one go, yeah. I am not a vampire, but my friend Mel is a vampire. Yeah, strong MuseScore is nice. Yeah. MuseScore is nice. I'm sad that they keep paywalling the features that used to be free, but I like MuseScore just because I can see the notes. In Reaper, I can't deal with piano roll because I went to music school. I am classically trained. I see chords on the my brain works in music notation and not piano roll. Strong MuseScore is nice. Reaper is a free trial program that I just never stopped using the free trial to. It is a DAW, a digital audio workspace, and you can import synths into it and add effects and balance and EQ to your recordings. Yeah. Anvil Studio, nice. In case you ever want to upgrade, Logic has a sheet music feature. GarageBand might as well, I'm not sure. I used to work in GarageBand until I moved to PC. Yeah. But yeah. I need to work on some of this guide myself. In particular, I need to continue to meet my physical needs. I'm finally finding consistency. And I'm working on saying no. I did just say no to another opportunity that might have been good for me, but it might have interfered with my bare minimum and other projects that I want to do. The hard thing when you have limited time and energy is you have to say no to things more than other people. And I think that's something that's a really hard lesson, but it's a really important lesson. If you're gonna have to say no more than the average person, what you say yes to is so important. Yeah. So yeah. Does anyone have any questions before I end? Just wanted to keep it pretty short and sweet. Because we got to the important... I wanted to get to the important things. I will have this written guide linked in the description. I'll probably add a few things that I only said verbally to it right before uploading, so that you guys can have the written reminder as well. So if anyone has anything to add, please feel free to. I'm probably gonna go for another 10 minutes or so, yeah. Another handy thing is to keep a list of all your subscriptions somewhere and double check it every now and again to make sure you're not still using something. Yep. Nope, have a good day. May Jesus keep everyone in this chat safe. Thank you so much. Off topic one, but do you have plans for more point redeems? I'm still sitting on a lot of yams right now. I do. So recently VTube Studio implemented that you can use channel point redeems to physically alter your your model directly through VTube Studio. So I'm going to use all of my toggles on VTube Studio as something that you guys can redeem. So shawl, wings fold, glasses, all my different eyeballs. You guys will be able to redeem those. I have a lot. My pointer, you guys can redeem. Shock. Buttons, eyebrows. Maybe not my viola, because that can be cursed. But then you can also do effects, and I can show you the ones I've been working on. One is the Bat Brain Vortex. Let me go to just chatting so that you guys can see it. It's pretty funny. So basically... you could definitely mess with my model in fun ways, so that's the Bat Brain. Then we have Pixel. I color-coded it myself to be like the Barbie NES game. Specifically, I don't know why, but I thought that was fun. And then, of course, my dramatic lighting. And I'm gonna keep toying with them and seeing like what we can add, so that you guys can have fun with my model. Yeah, I love the drama light, thank you. So yeah, that's something that's coming. I do have like a list of tasks that I keep, so that I can improve my setup slowly, and that is the next thing on the task list. So hopefully I can get it myself and I don't have to call Lasso to do it, but you know. Let's see. It's a lovely guide. I'll add it. What I'll add to it is it's always a disaster in the making if you force yourself to keep working when unwell. Yeah, I kept doing that throughout the years. I kept ignoring my own health, and at this point I'm like, okay, I can't do that anymore. Yeah. Ichi does a lot of that. Yeah! Ichi does a lot of redeems that alter her model. I love it. It's always such an amazing stream with so much excellent advice. Thank you so much. I really try my best. You can alter the model through VTube Studio now? No way. I know, it's so exciting. There's even like different color palettes that I'll be able to do. It'll be fun. We'll have fun with it. Yeah, there's something like Mix It Up that makes it possible. Yeah! Can't wait to mess with those when you're doing gaming streams. Yeah, it'll be fun. Even just working on something without a deadline, there will always be a lot of things you can skip over. A ton of the quality, even in art, comes from the thought you put into it. Yes! I love the... yeah. If you accidentally say personal information about yourself, is there no way to fix it? So if you have said your personal information online connected to your VTuber account, the best thing you can do is not mention that you did, and go through that information, delete it the best you can. If you've said a lot of information, you can even switch social media accounts. That will keep you the most safe. And then just delete it and never mention that you said it. There was this time where I was playing cool math games on stream, and I accidentally did not know that cool math games looks at your ISP and shows where you live. So I had to, I didn't say anything on stream, first of all. I stayed really calm. I didn't say anything. I just scrolled back up, and then I scrubbed that. The moment I pressed the stop streaming button, I scrubbed the VOD completely off my channel. And I didn't mention that it happened until after the stream. Because if you mention it during the stream, then that's gonna be like Clipper Central. They're gonna actively seek it out. So, that is important, is if you have ever said information you regret, delete it best you can, if it's been a common occurrence, maybe switch social media accounts entirely, so that it's harder for people to find. Mirror says always use adblock. I did use adblock. I actually had my friend check out like if there was anything I could have done differently, and the only thing he said was like, just don't use cool math games, because there's no way for you to stop them from using your ISP to get that. Bald toggle. You guys want a bald toggle? I can probably make that happen, yeah. And thank you for following. Yeah, that's truly just stupid website design, it is. So we don't use cool math games anymore, and I've learned. Accidents do happen. There's gonna be some times where your VTuber facade barrier and your safety barrier do get broken, and the best thing you can do is to try and keep your calm. Do not let your audience know that something has happened and your safety barrier has been breached, and then after you're off stream or after that scenario has occurred, just delete and try the best you can, yeah. Welcome everyone, thank you for the follows. Yeah, thank you so much for the advice, of course. And then again, if it's on social media, redact. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm pointing to, but if it's on social media, check out redact, and redact is the best way to find keywords and delete. Yeah. So let's say you didn't want to mention, let's say something bad happened with, let's say you had a tabby cat, and that tabby cat unfortunately passed away, and you don't want people mentioning that tabby cat anymore on your stream. You can search keywords like his name and cat, and redact will show you all the posts that mention that particular cat, and then you can have redact remove them from your Twitter automatically. Sorry for such a sad example. I don't know why I found such a sad example, but here we are. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and being respectful as we got a little more real today. Again, I do ask you, like, if you have just found out a little more about my personal life in this stream, that you do not bring it up in any other streams. I really just wanted to be more vulnerable today to prove a point and show that I am, like, with you guys in this struggle. But I want to go back to just being happy, lighthearted Yam. And in order to do that, I like to keep my streams always lighthearted. So thank you guys, everyone, for the cooperation in that. And we'll probably be gaming next Friday. So we're gonna look forward to more Hollow Knight because I am addicted to that game and I want to know what happens next. Yeah. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Let's end over on YouTube as to not add extra to the VOD. And then we're gonna raid over on Twitch. So thank you everybody on YouTube so much for watching, and as always, take care, Bat Bunch. Alright, we are only live on Twitch now. So